Alright everybody, it's Cloud here, and I have an immense amount I want to go over today, so let's jump right into it. I want to discuss how the coding between Beyonce's upcoming The Formation World Tour and the assassination of John F. Kennedy share far too much in common as far as coding and symbolism that I've seen come across here. So I want to trace out those lines for you and make an argument as to how all of this ties into an impending set of disastrous events. So as always, familiarize yourself with other occult research. Please look into my other videos for more information, including on this channel and my backup channel, Legends of Light, and it will give you much more insight. Now with that, let's jump right in here because I do want to cover a lot of ground very quickly today. So as noted, this is going to be Beyonce's 7th major tour, and just to preface everything I'm going to go over a bit, 7 is absolutely significant in a large capacity. Notice that it is the number of points on Aleister Crowley's Mark of the Beast, and also the number of points on the Seal of Babylon. And so very critical things to consider in all of this. I want you to also see that she announced this tour, or the tour was announced following her performance at the halftime show for Super Bowl 50. And again, this is the 50th year, or the 50th anniversary of the Church of Satan. I wanted to show you a clip from a video that I had done regarding that and the connections. It has taken it away here, so please be sure to go back and watch that, as it is very interesting. And so let's keep moving here though. I want you to see, and we're going to talk more about the Church of Satan later. This tour starts April 27th, 2016. As you can see here, I've just done a basic rundown of the numbers, and so you can see that you get 13 all the way at the end here when you add the sums of the actual date and then the year. And so 13 is the death card, and so very interesting because 13 reduces to 4 being the emperor and having a lot to do with the way government is run. So please look into that card further. I also want to clarify that the day that this tour begins, how interesting that it lets this stay up, is the day that there's going to be a major conference over in Russia. And I want to play this clip from Elite NWO Agenda. Shout out to him. I think he does great work on his channel, just presenting news stories. So let's take a quick listen here.
Curious to note that the MOD has ordered all of its top commanders and political office holders from the Far East Pacific Ocean regions to be in Moscow on 27th April for what this report says is a readiness conference. What do you think about that?
Alright, I think it's very interesting to say the least, and so here's the actual information on that conference. If you're curious, it is actually going to happen. It's the Ministry of Defense for the Russian Federation. That's what MOD stands for when he references it there. And I want you to bear this in mind up here, program of the V or 5 Moscow conference, because that is very important, and I am going to come back to it in just a bit here. So now, with all of that in line, and again, that video is talking about that readiness conference in the wake of all of these major earthquakes, and several scientists having predicted that not only would these happen, but that the shifts in the tectonic plates from such massive earthquakes will very quickly displace itself somewhere else at a catastrophic level. Alright, so a lot to consider. Go check out his video for more information on that. But let's keep moving here. I want you to see this tour ends on August 3rd of this year, and again, if we add that down all the way, you get an inverted 911. 11 times 9, 99. I honestly feel that is one of the huge codes hidden in all of this. You'll also notice that the live debut for the song Formation at the Super Bowl was on the 7th of February. Again, that total reduction is 99. The tickets went on pre-sale for this event on February 9th. Alright, again, comes down to a 99, and so very interesting to me there, right? And so let's keep going here, and you see that the tour is going to last 99 days, or that can also be seen as 3 months 8 days, all right? And so if you reduce all of that down, multiplying your divine numbers, breaking them down, you see it does come out to 911, or again, that 99, so very fascinating. Now, before we look more into the actual video and the tour itself, let's look a little bit at Beyonce, because her coding is some of the most interesting that I've seen for a number of reasons. Now, notice I've typed in here Beyonce Knowles Carter, and there are a couple of different ways you could look up her name. This is the one that I chose to go with. And so I want you to see that the B, K, and C numeric values are written out for you right here, and a way to reduce this down would be 2 times 11, giving us 22, and then the C is hanging out over there, so you have either this inverted 322 or 22 times 3, giving us 66. And so again, for those of you still not familiar with Skull and Bones, that is absolutely a fundamental number for them, and Beyonce Knowles, undoubtedly one of their most prized projects that they put forward to progress their plan. Now, let's keep going here, though, because I want you to see this. Now, it's the first time I've seen this, and her Gematrix is coded differently than what appears. Alright, so take a look up here and notice that the values 1884, 1368, and 228. But when you're looking at the actual page now right here, the Jewish value is 1889. Alright, how bizarre. And so now when we go down below here, you're going to see that these values are also different, as they are 1398 and 233. So a lot to consider there. Okay, now let's take a look here. So for what is shown on the actual page here, all right, the 1889, what you can see when you type it in, and don't look into these right here, you see wants to be idolized, as well as the Holy Spirit is the devil. Now down below, the English and simple values for this are the same as enthroned Washington and John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Now this is a very big deal. I want you to see, I have pulled up on the side over here enthroned Washington. Take a look at the values that I put out for you here, and again, all of this coming down to worship of the sun, and you can even see this double 5 very cleverly hidden in there as well. And something to keep in mind with this enthroned Washington statue is that it debuted when Eliphas Levi, the man who designed the Goat of Mendes, which is what this looks incredibly similar to, was 22 at that time. And so 22 is a master builder number. I really cannot overstate the importance of this number, but please know that it has a lot to do with the idea of entering the Aquarian age and helping to establish that. Now, I want to keep moving here, though, because there is a lot to go over. So notice with enthroned Washington, everything from ancient order of Bavarian seers to dictated by authority. Now the English and simple, which is the same as Beyonce Knowles Carter's, you see reference to Fraternus Saturni, and excuse my pronunciation there, but the Brotherhood of Saturn, again something established by Aleister Crowley and very similar to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, in that there are 33 degrees, so on and so forth as far as their underlying goals. Now see as well, you have the great Babylon is fallen. Okay, we mentioned Babylon earlier here and the seal of, and this being the 7th tour, but take a look, you see MK Ultra mind control, as well as President Abraham Lincoln. Now notice that's 2 presidents right there who were assassinated, alright, and coming up with this same coding here. Okay, now you see this reference to the moon and the lovers, the 18th and the 6th card. Very, very important. Alright, now let's keep going though, because we still have a lot of ground to cover. See that the values that are given at the top, so this is without actually looking at the screen. This is when you would have to go in and type in the numbers that it showed at the top, because the coding's not the same. You see it says I need to warn you, as well as twisting things around. Okay, that's absolutely what is going on with that coding, and a reference to the church is a criminal front and safe haven. Alright, down below, United States of America, as well as Martin Luther King Jr. Alright, very important because he is in the music video for Formation, and again another assassination. Please watch the Ride Johnny Ride video I did, which shows you just immense connections between all of this. Alright, so now moving forward, Take a look at Sasha Fierce. As most of you know, Beyonce has outwardly come out and said that she feels possessed when she is on stage by this woman, Sasha Fierce. So interestingly, if we take that S and hold it, because that is the holy number in a lot of ways, the sun number, the only one in the English alphabet to mirror the Hebrew alphabet, you get that number 196, which I hold as important because it is the same simple value as Rose Bowl Stadium, which we will get to in just a moment here. But now take a look, because you can keep breaking that down. The Tower card, the Chariot, satanic number, okay, when it goes down to 7. But see, it says abuse, shoot, and an idol of death. I also want you to see here the English and simple values referencing the Magus, as well as terror, judgment, and esoteric. Alright, and so very important to keep all of that in mind, because the magic card, or excuse me, the Magus card is in the same model as Enthroned Washington and the Goat of Mendes. Alright, so a lot of connections there, very troubling to me. Alright, so now let's keep moving here though, and I'm going to solidify these connections even further for you. So take a look at the actual information for the song Formation here. Alright, released February 6th, length is 3:26, and why I am so interested in that is because that is the day of the year in 1963 on which JFK was assassinated. Alright, so if you go here, November 22nd, 1963, it's very clear for you. You'll notice as well that it gives you an inverted 93, the number of Thelema. Very interestingly, week 6, 7, and 4 as 11, and remember that is the Babylon or the Lust card itself. Alright, so a lot to consider there. Now, reference here to God of the Sea is interesting, and we're going to get into her video very soon here, but because she's on top of this New Orleans police car and is eventually, at the end of the video, she goes underwater and dies, allegedly. Alright, so interesting stuff there. Now, take a look here, because you see reference to the blast, as well as fire-based faith, teaches hate, again, Martin King coming up. Now, take a look down below here, reference to the 13 Illuminati families, and phrase of he planned all this from the beginning. Alright, so now let's jump into the actual coding for formation. The single here, you'll see right out top there, a satanic mark, as well as golden ratio, okay, black sun, the blood of man, book of beast, disappearing. Alright, just like she does at the end of the video, you see tick, 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 which I honestly think is a reference to the number 666, because that is 4 letters. The word starts with T, which reduces down to the number 2. Alright, and so 4 plus 2 is obviously 6, 3 times. Alright, you see bloodstain and the price of life. And why I think that's validated even further is the English and simple values down below. 666, 111, incredibly important numbers. Alright, mark of beast, so on, so forth. You also see this reference to the forehead sign. Alright, now what I want you to see here, let's look a little more at this video. She's hanging out on this New Orleans police car. You can see it very clearly. My images are all jumbled up here, so I can't just click on the side and have it go where I want. You see how I'm moving through there and it does nothing. But I did want you to see a more clear shot of that. There you go, with her sitting on top of the New Orleans police car. And hunched over in the beginning, she looks just like a pyramid there. In the water, it would be an inverted pyramid, which is the sign of water, or Aquarius. Now, notice this sign that she throws up, alright? That is a peace sign, not the 666 hand sign, but the peace sign is honestly just as important. Now, let's move back here. Take a look at this. New Orleans police. You see reference to accidents will happen and the bringer of judgment. Now, the English and simple value here, notice 1116, and when you do the math on that, you do get 666. You reduce 186, adding those numbers together, it's 15, which is in fact the devil card. Now, very interesting, because this is the same values as Horatio Greeno. This is the man who made the enthroned Washington statue, not a joke, as well as the grassy knoll, one of the speculated points of a gunman for the JFK assassination. Okay, now you see here reference to the 4 elements, great tyrants, the beast of the earth, and life is an illusion. Now, for Horatio Greeno, notice the V over there. Alright, now that's very important, because you see her throwing up the V sign on the New Orleans police car, which shares the same coding as him there. That is an absolute connection. You also see is the mark of the beast for Horatio Greenough up there, as well as original murder. And I want you to see by the hand of Nema, because I've been talking about this for a little while now, but NEMA, as you see, is the National Emergency Management Association for the U.S. Backwards, it is the word amen, which is the divine word, and absolutely I feel a lot of very significant connection to be gleaned from that. Alright, so all of that considered, and also with that V right there, and when this tour begins on the April 27th, remember what I showed you right back here with Russia's Ministry of Defense page, this V Moscow conference. I think it's very important, alright? That's just me. You are free to differ in your opinion, alright? So now let's keep going here, though, because I want you to see. Let's pop back through over here. We've got an image right here, More Than a Dreamer, The Truth. Notice the French horns on there. They could have picked any sort of horns. Eliphas Levi, the man who came up with the goat of Mendes, he did live in Paris, France, and so there's a lot of connection with French things and Satanism. If you look up the word French fries, it is also the 666 values, so I think that's very interesting to keep in mind as well, but I'll talk more on that in a moment here. But look at this, More Than a Dreamer, okay, what it says on the front of that there, you see the Lord of the Damned, as well as Approaching the Deadline, End of the Church, Sons, Fire, and USA Fascism, alright? Down below, the English and simple values, you get the number 26. Interestingly, remember her single for this was released on February 6, 26 from that right there, November 9, 11 times 9, 99. Always interesting to me, okay? 78 is the number of cards in the tarot deck. Another reference to Martin Luther. Project Monarch, this is one of the, I guess, most infamous projects of the CIA or whoever is actually conducting it, in which people are brainwashed and mind controlled. Very interesting. I'll leave you links on it if you're still not familiar. Now take a look, because you see Vatican secrets as well as satanic ideology, and so all of that just very stunning to me. Okay, now let's take a look at this here, okay, because her show at the Rose Bowl is going to be 18 days into her tour, alright, and so now I think that is supremely interesting. Take a look here, you can have all the information. It is on May 14th, 2016. Fifth month, 1 and 4 is 5. Very important that that comes up. Look at the address, all of these things that are just, of course, going to trouble me. But I want you to see for all of this, alright? We can get this 11 out of Rose Bowl, 9 and 2. Again, the lust card, all of this having to do with Babylon. But look at this. Outright, you get 666 as well as Worship, number 7. Remember, this is her 7th tour, okay? You see the Key of the Rituals, Grand Honors of Masonry, as well as the 9/11 attack, the Tangled Web, Deceptive Tactics, Unfathomable Evil, and the New Golden Age, alright? Take a look down below here. The English and simple values are the same as Lateralis and EMI records. Remember, Lateralis, the album from Tool, I recently looked into. All of this interesting to me. Los Angeles, Saturday, Scorpion, that is highly affiliated with the death card. I want you to see, in case you did not catch it, this show is absolutely taking place on Saturday, alright, and we are looking at Rose Bowl, and the reason I type it in as Rose Bowl is because that is going off of her actual Formation World Tour page. It's one of the ways I love to have some sort of consistency in here, is by looking through their wiki pages. So let's pull that up for you so you can just see it very clear right there. Jumping back over here, though, take a look at this, because it is the same value as French horn as well, okay, just like in the images next to the truth, okay, TT, that would be 22. All of this coming back to these master numbers. Very, very important stuff. Now keep moving, because the show at Rose Bowl Stadium will be on the 135th day of the year. Now this is fascinating to me, because in my Ride Johnny Ride video I showed you Marilyn Monroe died 135 days after her affair with Kennedy, and in 2001 Tool's album Lateralis was released on the 135th day. Interesting, because the day, right, that she's playing here, right? All of that linking up, right? Lateralis is in the actual venue. So when you look at 135, you have reference to terrorism as well as Thelemic Order, Bohemian Grove, Rothschilds, on and on, all right? When you invert the number, you see the rising of the dead as well as occult science, the astral plane, and the Ace of Cups, all right? So this is one of the few tarot cards. I'll actually read you a bit from Book of Thoth today. So it is important because the cups are associated with the root of the powers of water, and this card in particular represents the element of water in its most secret and original form. It is the feminine complement of the Ace of Wands and is derived from the Yoni in the moon, exactly as that is from the lingam and the sun. Alright, this accordingly represents the essential form of the Holy Grail. And so what I want you to see upon the dark sea of Binah, the Great Mother, are lotuses. And you know what, I think I actually have a copy of this that I can show you while I'm reading this. Make it just a little more easy for you to see. Okay, so our lotuses, 2 in 1, which fill the cup with the life fluid, symbolically represented either as water, as blood, or as wine, according to the selected purpose of the symbolism. This being a primordial card, the liquid is shown as water and can be transformed into wine or blood as may be required. All right, so I think that's absolutely critical because it's talking about how all of this is directly affiliated with sacrifices, all right, offering up blood, offering up water, offering up, okay, and again, doubling down, having everything to do with bearing secrets, okay. Now down below here, let's keep looking at this because very interestingly, 135 is also the simple value for I Slay or Isley remix of this song. Is a very popular remix of this song. And you see there the I and the R give us another 99, and the Jewish value for this is 944. Since we already looked into the 135 values there, you'll see Rapture Delusion, Planet X Delusion. Okay, again, all of this potentially being ruses to keep us guessing as to what is going to happen, when, why, how, and who is responsible. All right. You also see Good is Evil, Danger to Society, Lord of Evil, and I Am the Risen Dark Phoenix. Okay, you see this again next to LA has no electricity and ruin reality. All right, so all very fascinating to me. Let's keep moving though, because you see Rose Bowl Stadium, the coding for that showing as CERN 666, Covenant of Masons, and I think very interestingly New Orleans Hellgate. Okay, because that is where this video takes place, on the top of a New Orleans car in the wake of destruction there. So really no way to misinterpret that coming up again and again. And you see her dying in New Orleans, right, going underwater. So something very sinister arguably there. And so again, you see reference here to Gaius Julius Caesar, who was assassinated in front of a crowd, much like all of these people that I have discussed today. Now, keep moving here because I want you to see for Pasadena, all of the coding for that. Feel free to pause and look through it. Pasadena, California. Okay, and this is important because formation, same English value there. You can see all of this connecting in, that 366 we will look at again here in just a moment. But for Pasadena, California, take a look at the English and simple values. They're the same as Dallas Trademark. That is where JFK was heading when he was assassinated, and David Copperfield. And again, if you did not watch the last video I did discussing House Resolution 642 for recognizing magic as a rare and valuable art form as well as national treasure, please look into this video. There is a lot of very, very sinister stuff going on in this. David Copperfield is mentioned in this bill 8 times. 8 is a supremely important number associated with Mercury, with Christ, with a whole list of things. Please look into it. You also see this is the 114th Congress. Very important to keep that in mind with everything as well. And so what's also important to remember, just since we're talking about 322 so much, as well as 55, Representative Pete Sessions, who introduced this bill, was in fact born on March 22nd, 1955, all right, and March 22nd also important in that 1982, that date was when Iron Maiden released the Number of the Beast album, so a lot to be said there. Okay, now with that number and with all of that, look at the coding: Skull and Bones, Holy of Holies, the Path of Zane, that is the lovers, very important. You see reference to 520, 29, 66. Okay, very crucial. Small sacrifices and all of this coming down to the Path of Resh. All right, I want to keep moving. Please pause and look through all of this because the middle section here I have covered in a few of my other videos, but that 198 that we get from 3 times 66, which we had from Pasadena and Formation, you do see these references here to very destructive things. The A-bomb, you see the word amen come in here. Very important because as I showed you a moment ago, amen backwards is NEMA, which is a big organization that could be orchestrating very bad things, all right? Because you see down here reference to history repeats, corrupt justice, the last trumpet, end of the Antichrist, as well as the second 9/11, cruel intention, all things are revealed, and the resurrection. So now very interesting because as we said, this song was debuted live at the Super Bowl 50, right? And so the Church of Satan also celebrating its 50-year anniversary today, founded in 1966. A nice 66 for you, but when we invert that number, it's very interesting because 891 days is the span of time between JFK being assassinated and the Church of Satan being assassinated right later in 1966, as opposed to Kennedy dying in 63. Now, with all of that, look at the coding that you see there because I think there is absolutely a lot being conveyed in this here. Now let's keep moving because I want to show you just a couple of more things on the way out here. So the actual location of the venue 1001, all right, the 11 that we get, and that is again the Lust card, Babylon. Please look into it further, but you can look into this as May's Earthquake, the main underground base, Walking Dead, Double 5, again, just like the date, May 14th, 1 and 4 is 5 in the 5th month. You see Apocalyptic Threat, the Divine Path, the Turkey Sacrifice, Divisions, and the Path of Zane, again, coming back to the Lover's card. Now, all very, very important here, but see for Rose Bowl Drive, you see New Age Cult, the Holy Apocalypse, as well as She is Pure Evil, Exploitation of the Human Race, and Obama 666. All right, the English and simple values, again, just reiterating things that I've told you at this point for connections. John F. Kennedy, Super Bowl, death penalty, Quaff and Zan, these are the paths of the moon and the lovers. All right, remember, she's going to be playing at the Rose Bowl on the 18th day of the tour. That is absolutely referential towards the moon card. You see serial killer, the great beast, and terrifying. All right, so one last bit that we're going to run through here that I think they're hiding quite a bit of information is this reoccurring number that we see in this video on this clock right here. And so there are a lot of ways you could see this. This is one of the reasons why I kind of saved it for last. And again, notice the umbrella in the back of this scene, absolutely critical for those involved. Now, this time right here can be read a number of different ways. If we were to read it as 1210 and reduce this down 1 and 2 as 3 and hold on to this over here, we get the number 31, which is important because this is the same reduction that we get from the clock that is in this very notorious picture of the Skull and Bones, in which George Herbert Walker Bush is standing there. It is 1 o'clock, but it breaks down the same way, and the number 31, crucial because that is the number of the Book of the Law. That is a very hugely guarded piece there. You can find information on it looking into the 8th tarot card, the Adjustment tarot card, again, as absolutely critical in conjunction with David Copperfield appearing 8 times in a bill regarding magic to be legalized in the United States. And so that's one way you can read it, but if you read it as 1211 is honestly what I see is the clock just being a little bit past it there, not quite exactly on it. For 1211, you see the sacred language of holy fire, as well as from Aleph to Tav, which is from beginning to end of the Hebrew alphabet. You also see Barack Hussein Obama is the mark of the beast, sex slave, minds will race, elite behead USA citizens, the god of war, The Black Plague, hundreds of millions dead, as well as Satan is New York, New York. New York has a 666 value as well. You see the United States Armed Forces, the very crucial 111 coming up. Again, that is what you get when you look into formation itself, as I showed you at the beginning of this video. Let's see if we can pop it back up for you real quick again, though, so you can see that 111 popping up, and that is not an accident that all of this keeps coming back. You see the King of Kings revealed, as well as Wilbur, all right? And just like I told you a long time ago, Charlotte's Web has a tremendous amount to do with the mind-blowingly deceptive story that they have told us all and convinced us into believing false miracles, all right? Now, take a look down here, the Formation World Tour, Beyonce, way of looking into this here, alright? You see reference to the year a nuclear war breaks out. Remember earlier we saw the A-bomb, so on and so forth. Now you also see this whole world is a scam. They really worship Satan, and all of the serpents are betrayers like Judas. I want you to see down below reference to an abomination that causes desolation, the number of extraterrestrials, and the Yellowstone super volcano. Alright, and so one last piece for you here. The single formation was released through, as you can see here, Parkwood Entertainment. Very important to keep in mind. So let's take a look here. You see reference to the cause of human extinction, Comet Ellen, and as well as the worst case scenario, world extinction, the number 780, and this is incredibly powerful because 780 is in fact the value for Minute Brew, and this was the commercial that they played directly after we were told that JFK was assassinated. So very interesting. You also see Possessed by Evils, as I stated towards the beginning, something that Beyonce has essentially owned up to. Now down below here you see the United States of America, the manifestation of UFOs, as well as National Security Agency. Appearances are often deceiving, the opposite of duality, that would be singularity, and 12, 12, 12, which no matter how you break this down is very significant. 36, a crucial number. The 888 I got the same way. This is 6 letters. T reduces down to 2. 2 plus 6, 8, 8, 8. Now 780 I do want to show you a little bit more on. Because it is very important. You see European Union, Killing Joke, Unholy Flame, No Concern for Others, as well as the surge of fascism. The English values showing you television, Rosicrucian, White Horse, Non-Servium, which is a phrase attributed to Lucifer saying, I will not serve, in reference to God. You also see Seventh Seal, Black Skeleton. Again, that is the death card. 9/11 FEMA 83, which is going to be the number 83 when this tour ends. Very interesting. Inevitable Fall and Blood of the Lamb. Alright, and then so for those of you not familiar with the symbol of the rose and its immense significance, please look at this blog because they do an amazing write-up on it, showing you how it is affiliated with the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Catholics, Solomon, Queen Elizabeth, the Egyptians, all of them. It's her birthday today. I usually keep it clean, but fuck you, Your Majesty. And so, lot to consider in this, alright? And I want you to see as well, because I might have glazed over it a bit here. Let's pull up some numbers just in case they are interesting and needed to be mentioned. So, the amount of time between when this bill was introduced, the magic bill that I discussed earlier, and the date that she will be playing at the Rose Bowl is interestingly 62 days, an inversion of 26, and so the significance of that, when we just jump back here like this, you see More Than a Dreamer and that 26 and all of that coding put in there, as well as the 78, which is interesting. Again, that tarot number 21 is the universe card. That is the last card. Again, this reduces down, so something could be at play there. And since I was talking about Monroe died 135 days after her affair with Kennedy, I thought it'd be interesting to look at 135 days since that magic bill was passed, and That date will be July 26th of this year. Very interesting because this 4 months, 13 days, right? 13, the death card, 1 and 3, reduces down to 4. And so, very interesting because on that particular day, she is going to be playing in Stockholm, Sweden. That's SS, 2 suns, or 1 and 9 is 10. Drop the 0, so you have 1, 1, 11. Babylon at Friends Arena. Okay, so please look into Friends Arena because you see here reference to Satanism, Atlantis, a whole lot of very important things here. But notice that the simple value is 11-4, just like the Congress looking at this. Remember that JFK was shot on 411 Elm Street. Very important that 44 and Martin Luther King's date of his assassination, again giving us a 4-4. So please be sure to look into all this. Again, it looks very troubling. New World, Holocaust, so on and so forth. World War. I don't want to talk too long. I want to wrap this up because I think it's fascinating. Please share the information if you feel it deserves to be shared because I, for what it's worth, think that we should warn each other and be as aware and mindful of this stuff as possible. Alright, so thank you so much everybody for watching, and please be well.